You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire. Digital distractions are the only tools that can help a man forget about death. In movies and games, there's no sense of time and thus no sense of self nor mortality. Day by day, we get attuned to this fantasy world to a point that death itself starts to feel like an illusion. We start believing that death only happens to characters in films and video games, not in real life. This delusional belief of being immortal encourages us to waste more time. But then one day, we get short-circuited into wakefulness. A friend dies, a relative passes on, or we get into a car accident. Our comfortable utopian world is shattered by reality, and finally, we feel fear. We recall that we are fragile. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. Learning how to live takes a whole life, and which may surprise you more, it takes a whole life to learn how to die. To understand this quote, we have to divide it in two halves. First, let's explain part 1, how learning to live is a lifelong process. Imagine for a second I gave you a list of all the events that will happen in your lifetime, all the names and traits of the people you're going to meet, and now you're gonna live your life as described in the list. You are unable to change the circumstances that are gonna happen to you. Your answer would probably be like, that's cool, a life full of certainty. But you're missing out on the worst part. If you knew how your life is going to work out, it would be boring to live it. It's as though you're going to watch the same movie for a second time, yet watching it for the first time is the most profound experience, full of jump scares and exciting plots. The protagonist is to experience a range of pleasant and unpleasant sensations. He's meant to sweat, encounter ruthfulness and pain. That's what makes a film exciting, right? So is the case for reality. That is how life is supposed to be like, and I wouldn't want it any other way. In brief, learning how to live boils down to realigning oneself with the course of nature whenever you're disharmonized with it, accepting and reaccepting life as presented to us with all its vices and virtues, and acclimating ourselves to it. If your life was certain, it would be a piece of cake, and you'd be eating an infinite piece of cake for the rest of your life. That would be boring. Now let's look at the second half of the quote, learning how to die, which is also a lifelong process. Learning how to die means learning how to die well. You're learning how to die well when you see that cute girl on the street and you go talk to her without a second thought of what others might think if you're approaching her. You're learning how to die well when you see that business opportunity and you shove your soul in it, work your face off and make shit happen. You're learning how to die well when you're always on the look for any sign of internal fear, neutralizing your fears one at a time and re-neutralizing them when they are to resurface. You will die well when you live every second as if it were the last, living as though you were already dead. And so learning how to die is merely a matter of avoiding regret. Regret is not about the things you did, it's solely about things you had the chance to do, but you bitched out. Avoid regret at all costs so you can die well and fulfilled. Unending self-indulgence. People who enter the cycle of continual self-indulgence are afraid to inspect on their past and therefore hunted by it. Quote, they are unwilling to cast their minds back to times ill-spent, unquote. Uneasy in their solitude as worries and regret engulf their souls. Meanwhile, the guy who lives every day as if it were the last is unshameful of looking at his past, moreover proud to retrospect on his glorious accomplishments. The past cheers him with hopefulness for the present and thus reflects a better future. Elderly envy. Some old people who have been struck by illness, quote, exclaim that they were fools because they have not really lived. unquote. They have postponed their leisures, their longings and desires, for they now suffer the regrets of their very decisions. They have lived the conventional way, and now they continue to live their last days looking down upon those who enjoy the pleasures they themselves have put off. They despise the sight of youngsters dating, kissing, envious of what they could have done but didn't. Let me ask, if you have lived an extraordinary life, why would you be envious of a young person, right? And so they die unsatisfied, wanting to see more of life but are unable. It is too late. My closing thoughts: you've already lost the game. Consider yourself as dead, now live the rest. For when I'm on my deathbed, I won't retrospect and say that I was looking at things from afar as they were happening. I did them.